Good morning. Welcome to the XM.com weekly market update, and we're joined again by Peter McGuire, the CEO of XM. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning, Andrew.
All right, we'll get into those numbers. Not a huge amount in the domestic market last week, as in statistics, but obviously the Aussie dollar this time last week was around about 68.5.
Yeah.
This time this week, 66.7.
Yeah, barreling up to 70 and then the wind came out of it. It's a proxy, as we know, for China. China's numbers were very, very poor, and they're certainly worried about that domestically. So, yeah, we get sold off, and there's the storyline. So it gave up a lot of that 2 cent move, and dynamic to trade if you're looking at it, what it's done in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, but it sort of fell out of love very quickly.
Oh,
anyway.
yes.
So let's move up to Japan. The CPI there, they were expecting it to go a little bit higher, actually, which
yes, we
the
were.
Japanese authorities probably don't mind that so much, considering what it's been like for so long. But it came off just a tad.
Yep.
It's a bit over 3%. But still, you know, it's sort of like, as you see from the chart there, it's hovering around those levels now.
Well, yeah, and it's going to be interesting. 2 things. First off, or 3. First, where does the new Bank of Japan governor do anything as far as policy and raise rates? First point. Second point, you've got a yen now sitting at 143 plus, and will there be intervention at 145 or 140 or 150? And thirdly, the Nikkei has been the best market to look at over the last 6 to 12 months. Japanese stock market, 34,000. So it's game on for the Japs.
Sure is. And just looking at the dollar yen, there it is at the moment, just about 143.5.
Yeah.
But from the start of this year, it was back around that sort of 126-ish level.
Yeah.
So, but as we were speaking off air, you go back over that 1 year period, which is that chart there.
Yeah.
And from a trader's perspective, plenty of opportunity.
Plenty of opportunity, and if you traded only one market, put the rest in the rubbish bin. The yen dollar has been absolutely mind-blowing. And and every cross rate against it, British pound, euro against the yen, it's just been phenomenal.
Yeah. Speaking of the UK, CPI numbers came out. They held steady for the second month in a row, very sticky at 8%. And they can't, it's sort of interesting at the moment. We've got a lot of other economies where the inflation rate is coming down and coming down quite a bit.
Yep.
But unfortunately in the UK, not the case.
No, it's not the case, and that's been demonstrated with a 50 basis point move by Bank of England, I think Wednesday or Thursday last week. So are we going to see, if these numbers persist, are we going to see another boot up for the Bank of England over the summer period? A 50 basis point move.
You would think so. So if we look at that 50 basis point move, and this chart is extraordinary in that obviously it's been a huge climb up.
I think they call that nearly parabolic.
Well, you can't go any lower than 0.
No, you can't.
But then again, if you go back to 2008, that's 13 years of sub 1% interest rates, which is just extraordinary.
Oh, well, you can go below 0 because the Swiss did and the Japs did. But it's not very good. You give someone $1 and they give you 99.5 back. But yes, what we've seen there, it's just extraordinary. Have a look at that. Are we going to see 6%? Do we go back to what we saw in 01 or even nearing on 07, 08 when it peaked there?
Yeah. So well, you would sort of, if that inflation stays where it is, then surely they have to move again.
Yeah.
At minimum.
Minimum of 25.
Yeah, for sure. And looking at the pound as well. So I remember we were chatting here sort of late last year when it was around that sort of sub 107. Now up at 127. It's pretty much all one-way traffic there.
It sure is. Yeah, I don't know, but maybe 130 is going to be the handle to look at. It's so hard to forecast when you see moves like this that are just extraordinary.
Yeah. So speaking of interest rates, we look at the US market. What's really interesting here is that 2-year rate going back early May, which is sort of roughly 2 months now.
Yes.
That was significant. That was below 3%. That was around about 3.8%.
Yes.
So we've got 90 basis points rise, which is partly the way the Fed has been speaking about it. They're talking tough about potentially 2 more interest rate rises.
Yep.
The market's sort of playing a game of bluff with them, sort of saying no chance.
Yeah, well...
But time will tell.
Don't ever bet against the Fed, they tell me.
No, well, yeah, but once again, the inflation's been coming down significantly in the US, so if it keeps coming off like it has, then...
You would hope that there may not be any further rate rises and the impact to equity markets and so on. So we're sitting through this summer period. It's going to be an interesting summer in the US, Northern Hemisphere that is, because you've got a different mindset to what we've experienced the last couple of years, Andrew. That COVID lockdown, now you've got summer driving season, you've got travel, you've got a relatively not bad US dollar to travel with. They tell me that Italy is packed at the moment, and Greece, with just tourists from around the world. So everyone's back in there, spending their tourism dollars and getting back to life, which is wonderful. So we all should be.
And that's a good thing for everyone. So, and interestingly, on the inflation front, in Europe this week, there's the German, French, Italian, and Spanish inflation numbers are out this week. So all of them are pointing to lower inflation right across
Hopefully
the board.
they deliver.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where they come out. But all of them are coming out later this week. Finally, we just look at the US indices. We've talked about this before. The share market's been pretty hot this year, particularly the big tech stocks.
Sure.
Some of those smaller and mid caps are playing a little bit of catch up at the moment. So obviously they haven't run as hard as like the likes of the Apples and the Metas, etc.
Nvidia.
And Nvidia, well, that's obviously
off.
They're in their own world at the moment. So, but these markets have been very strong, and I think, if they continue this strength, some of that money that is sitting on the sidelines
got to come on,
or sitting in fixed
income. You keep
on
telling me, as far as the big hedge funds and and the fund managers, they need to return good numbers.
Yeah, and once again, they'll put the end of year figures out at the end of the year, of course. How
did you fare?
How did you fare? And if you didn't fare well, then the
Pull
redemptions.
Thank you.
The redemptions come in, and all of a sudden, so is that going to be the old FOMO of give this market another leg up?
It's a little bit like a story, and I'll just say a quick one. Shane Warne sees Richie Benaud, and he asks the question, I'm going to do some cricket commentary, what do I need to know? And Richie Benaud said, Shane, someone's sitting there and they've got a remote control in their hand and they're watching TV. Make it interesting for them. And that's a little bit like the fund managers. Make it interesting, give me a good number, because once you change the channel and you go to a different channel and you're not watching the cricket because of your commentary, then it's a long time till you come back.
That's right. So, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but it's, because a lot of these fundies would have been banking on the recession, the most telegraphed recession in history.
That didn't deliver.
It hasn't delivered yet. And actually, I think the US got GDP numbers out this week as well.
Yeah, they have.
So it's going to, the forecast is a low number, but it's forecast as a positive.
Yes.
So we've got that, and obviously early July earnings season kicks in again.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well.
This Friday's end of month, end of week, end of month, end of quarter, end of half year, and for some countries, end of financial year.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a big Friday, and the following Friday we'll have non-farm payrolls.
So it'll be see how that plays out. But plenty going on again, which is good.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, thanks for joining us.
It's lovely to be here.
We'll chat again next week.
Take care. Thank you,
stuff.
Andrew.
And that's the XM.com weekly market update.